Well, hey guys, how are you? Hope you're all well. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go into a little more detail on this grinder, see if we can get a little better up close footage of using the grinder. Maybe show up close some more of the settings that you can set on the grinder and some things I've found that you might need to do or know if indeed you want to buy a chain grinder. Lots of brands out there. Seems there's only a couple different designs though. You either have your round ground chain or you have your square grinders, your Symingtons or your Sylvie grinders, which cost about probably 5 to 6 times as much as this grinder that we are using, which is the Tecomec Joly Evo. It is the same exact grinder as an Oregon 410-120. So just take that in note. I think they're even about the same price. Both made at the same factory to my understanding. Don't quote me on that. That's just what I gathered when I done my homework. But I'm thinking the only reason I got that one is it was just a few bucks cheaper than the one that actually had Oregon branded on it. So, you know, it is what it is. But what I'll do is I'll put you guys over in front of the grinder, and just like some of the other videos we have done, we'll try to go over some things and see if we can get this chain cutting good again. It is the same chain we ground in the last video. It has been out, had some use on it. Does need some touch-up work, so that's kind of what we're doing here. And then I've got a set up over on the other side of the shop here. We'll set it up and get the rakers or drags set, whatever you want to call them, depth gauges. Get those set to our liking, and then hopefully we have enough daylight left here this afternoon to put this chain in a piece of wood and see what kind of chip we can pull. Okay guys, so first off we have our head tilt angle. If you can see the numbers, if not I apologize. At the back there, and how you adjust this is that same knob that you use to actually piece the grinder together. I'm thinking we have angles from 40 all the way over to straight up and down, I guess. Right now we're setting on a 50. Most chains you'll get will be from 50 to 60 degrees out of the box. Most Oregon full chisel chains are at a 55 degree head angle. I've gotten some steel and husky chains that require a 60, as well as some, you know, other off-name chains. But what this is going to do, it is just part of the puzzle, but it will dictate on how hard the saw bites into the wood. There is more key factors to it than that, but kind of plays a crucial role. Okay guys, maybe we can get a better understanding of what that head tilt angle does. It's the angle that it's coming in and leaving the grind. Alright guys, got our top plate angle. This is the same angle that your witness mark on the cutter will have when using a hand file. We have angles going from 0, as you can see, past 30 degrees. 30 is about as far as I've ever went on one, I think. But although if someone wants to see it, we could do some chains with some pretty crazy angles. It just all depends on how well these videos do. If the angle looks kind of funky and the pointer looks a little off, although it looks pretty close here. I've got the pointer set at 25 degrees. With me sitting right in front of the grinder, we're kind of off on an angle right now to get these shots, but that's what we're adjusting. And there, as we can see there, the top plate angle, that cutter's already been sharpened. That's the cutter in front. It's actually the other side of the chain. I just went ahead and done it off camera because when grinding that side of the cutters, you really can't see much of anything on camera. And lastly, we have the, what I like to call the downward tilt, which is on the right side of the grinder on the very bottom. Can be kind of hard to see. You know, just do what you got to do. Bend down, look, get your reading glasses, whatever you've got to do. This one's kind of optional. It does make a little bit of a difference, but it's not going to be like a night and day. And again, it could have to do with how aggressive or how smooth your chain cuts. Most full chisel chains are set at 10 degrees, which is what we have this one on. This is how we adjust our top plate angle as well, but you have this knob, you loosen and tighten. Let's see, if we had the saw sitting directly in front of us, that would be a left-hand cutter. That's if the saw's sitting dead in front of you and you're looking down on the chain. That would be a left-hand cutter. Okay, for left-hand cutters, you're going to pull the knob toward you and set it on 10 degrees on that side. Okay, your right-hand cutters, which would be this cutter, again, and this is if the chain is sitting directly in front of you. You, like say, have the saw into your lap and you're looking down the guide bar like so. You're going to push that away from you before tightening back down and set it on 10 degrees on that side of the numbers. Okay guys, to make the downward tilt maybe a little more, show you what we're talking about, like this is if you're, let's say you had it on 0, that means you'd just be holding your file, and this is completely the wrong file for this chain, but it doesn't really matter, just for demonstration. You know, your top plate angle would be moving the file to there, and then your downward tilt would be that, 10 degrees about there. It makes a difference, but it's a very minimal difference, and hopefully that helps things make more sense on that. Okay guys, now that we've got that, I need to back y'all out for a second. Back behind this arm that comes down and rests behind the cutter, we have our adjustment. This adjusts actually how much material that we are pulling from said cutter, and as you can see, that chain's not 100% dull. Most people would have kept cutting with that chain, but it's to that point where if you're anything that's kind of hard at all, you're kind of having to dog in or push on it. But anyway, when we first sharpened it, it pulled through really hard wood, you know, like it was pulling you into the piece of wood, and it done it smoothly as well. And if you do this chain and do it right, it'll be a very, very fast, very smooth cutting chain. For just a work chain, I guess, if that makes any sense. But and I'm sure I'm going to forget something, and you guys will see me do it as we go around this loop of chain. Your vise. Now, some of the other grinders that cost a little more have a hydraulic vise that locks your chain into place. I see guys all the time, and I actually had one of you guys comment and ask about it in a prior video, that he sees a lot of other YouTubers show doing this stuff, and their chains rocking back and forth. It's coming up and down out of the vise. That's just somebody in a hurry. That chain's not gonna, it'll cut, but it's not gonna cut well. The angles on it are not gonna be very precise. And you know what I mean by that is what they will do. They will just grab the chain in the back and pull it through till it locks under this arm and hold pressure against it, in, you know, in hopes that it's going to hold it still. But if you watch up close, it's not. If you don't have it locked in tight, it will move, and you're just not going to have a very precise cut. And I'm sure somebody's saying, well, mine don't do that. Well, stop and watch it closely. I promise you it is. And if you'd take the extra couple of seconds and properly lock in the arm and lock the chain into place, you'll end up the much smoother, better cutting chain. Alright guys, hopefully I don't get in the way of anything, and we can maybe grind a few of these up close. And you know, as always, I'll try to get some high-res shots of what's going on once we get done. But let's fire this thing up. There's your button on the top, and the good thing about these grinders, they do have a light, but I'm kind of over here and you guys are over there, so hopefully we get a good angle and you get a good idea of what exactly is going on here. You want to grind till you're done grinding. I'll post things in the shorts feed, and you know, there are so many know-it-alls that say, hey, you just took 3/4 of that chain away, you ruined it, this, that, and the other, when it's not really pulling a lot of material at all. It's like a razor's edge. It has a nice beak to it. One other adjustment, and I'm going to stop and show you guys this knob here. What that adjusts is actually how deep that cutter is going into the chain and cutting. Basically how deep it's going into the gullet. I like to set mine just a little bit above the tie strap. You can take it completely out to the tie strap, but you're going to have a very, very chattery chain, very aggressive. You better have a saw with a whole lot of grunt to pull it. Alright, let's grind a couple more up close. Every time, make sure you're locked in right and tight. So this is one crucial role here in determining how exactly this chain will pull in the wood, what size chip it's going to pull. Get yourself the depth gauge. Doesn't really matter what kind. This would be called a progressive gauge. I have the old school Oregon gauge as well. I'll use a lot, but I want to make sure these are set really good. Battery. I'm going to have to wrap this one up. The drags on that thing had to be taken down a country mile to even get onto the hardwood setting on that depth gauge, and honestly I went back after I made a cut out here, brought the file out and took a few more swipes off of them. Thank you guys for watching. Everybody have a great day.